on to issue 2. At this point, there are some characters who don't know what's going on. After the whole invasion with Darkseid, Green Arrow, Black Canary, and Green Lantern go off camping to sort of relax and decompress after the big battle. And this is a nice little nod to like their comic history. You've got the Hard Traveling Heroes, I think that's what they called them, when Green Arrow and Green Lantern worked together, like they were best friends in the comics. And they're off camping like in the woods outside Metropolis, and Hal's just getting bored out of his mind. He's complaining so much to the point that...
When is Hal not complaining?
True. But Oliver Green Arrow even gets to the point like, Hal Jordan, you have the ability to suck the fun out of everything. Welcome to the Killjoy Corps. Just like a smart ass to the... So I was like, all right, I'm going to my tent. So he goes like, he turns on his phone to like check his email or something and Oliver and Dinah are going over to just sort of tease him a bit, but then the tent explodes open and you basically got a zombified Green Lantern, and the image is actually pretty cool. And like the Ring is talking to him like, Green Lantern Sector 2814, lethal force is not authorized. And
ooh.
So it knows that he's going to try and kill them. And he starts fighting against Green Arrow, and he's shooting at him. He's like, Hal, this isn't a boxing glove, Arrow. This could kill you. Knock it off. But he's basically at the point where he's about to kill him. And Dinah just lets out a huge scream, which basically destroys Hal. Like, I guess it was like the resonant frequency or whatever, but so intense that it kills him. And then something else that's unique about these stories, like these Elseworld stories, you get unique situations that you might not see otherwise, because right after this, the ring comes off of the dead Hal Jordan's body, and it flies around for a second. It's like, Dinah Lance, you have the power to overcome great fear. Welcome to the Green Lantern Corps. And so she becomes a Green Lantern.
Cool. Mm-hmm. That's so cool. That's one of the best things about like Elseworld stories, though, is they can show you like, what if Dinah was a Green Lantern?
Yeah, and she doesn't want this. She's like, oh God, I don't want this. But then Superman flies her. He's like, take it. We're gonna need it. So, let's see what happens next. They go back to the apartment, to Superman's apartment, and they're trying to come up with a plan. They decide to go to the Daily Planet building because there's stuff over there where they can get the word out to the general population. And Damian has finally gotten a hold of Batman. He's still alive at this point. He's put himself in one of Mr. Freeze's old suits to basically slow down his metabolism and prolong his life a bit longer.
Smart.
Yeah,
or if this was the Brooklyn Nine-Nine world, I would be saying smart.
I love that show.
Good. I was like, oh man, what if I just made a joke? It's not gonna land.
Vindication!
Yes! There's a gif of that where Captain Holt puts his fist up and says it, and then flames just appear behind his head.
Oh, I've got to find that one.
They're just in the GIF bar, just vindication. It'll come up eventually.
I'm sure I'll find it. But anyway, at this point, he's talking to them. He's like, guys, I don't have much time. I'm infected. I'm going to die soon. Here's what's happening. And he basically just Batman's up, and he tells them everything that's going on, like how the virus is being spread, what they need to do to prevent it from getting further, what they should be doing next. And he has like a little heart-to-heart with a couple of people. Like he tells Clark that he's his best friend and whatnot. He tells Damian that Alfred's going to meet up with him and he has something for him. And you see him like standing behind Bruce with a shotgun ready.
Alfred has the hardest job in the whole DC universe. Like,
yeah, he's got a rough
storyline. Somehow he's got the hardest job.
Yeah, right now he's actually dead in the modern continuity.
Right. I'm like so far behind.
Yeah, I don't really read it all that much, but I am up to date on that bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, but anyway, Batman eventually turns and he's like infected and everything. He cuts off the transmission. The infection takes over. Batman raises gun. Alfred raises gun. Is like, "I'm sorry," and the last thing you see is just bam. So he kills what's left of Batman. Later, you see him leaving, and you see like the bodies of Batman, Nightwing, and Tim Drake just kind of laying side by side. He's like, "I'm sorry, I couldn't save any of you." And
Oh.
there's some real depressing stuff that goes on in this.
Hold on. For the really dark moments here.
Yeah, turn off the light.
No silence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and he gets in the Batwing and he flies out to Metropolis and he's just like shooting down like this any zombies that he comes across just to sort of like let out his anger, his grief, or whatever. At the same time, in Gotham, Harley is with Ivy and she's on her way to break up with the Joker.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And
Best timing ever, Harley.
well, they don't know what's going on at this point. This is like before things got too crazy. And
I mean, even if she did know, like,
the world's
timing's not her thing. It's not her thing. It's fine. It's fine.
no. Ivy basically tells her, "Hey, there's something you got to do for yourself. I'll be waiting over here. Come find me when it's over." And so Harley goes into like this abandoned building where Joker's made his hideout. She's like, "Hey, Puddin', can I talk to you about something?" And you see Joker. He's the guy, like all these screens in front of him, and you see from his vantage point, he's already infected.
Oh no! I mean, for Ivy and Harley, not for the Joker. I really don't give. Does anybody care for the Joker?
Yeah. So Harley ends up fighting him, and she ends up splitting him apart with her shotgun. It's like, "Mr. J, I think we should see other people," or something like that. And she basically splits his body in half with like a pump action, like a double barrel. She's like, "Oh my God, that was so cathartic." And he's about to leave, and then she's about to go find Ivy, and she's confronted by a zombified birds of prey. You've got
No.
so Catwoman.
How is she gonna team up with the birds of prey if they're zombies?
She barely even met up with them in the movie anyways.
I know, but like,
Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, you got Catwoman, Huntress, Batwoman, and Batgirl. And they're all infected. And she's like, "Zombie birds of prey. I guess I'm going bird hunting." She pumps her gun. And yeah, and then it just kind of goes off.
It's an opportunity to put in a line about "glad I loaded this thing with birdshot" as opposed to like buckshot. Like,
well, this story is only like 5 or 6 issues or so there's only so much you could cram in there.
that's fair. Okay. I'll let him have that. I'm just saying, missed opportunity, birdshot pun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of heroes in other places or other opportunities, Aquaman is out. We were talking about him earlier. He's out checking out this abandoned freighter in the middle of the ocean. Something's up, so he goes in to investigate, and the entire crew is infected, and they basically gang up on him. And then you don't see him again for quite a while. So you're like, "Oh God, what just happened?" Back at the Kents. With the Kents, they've gone over to the Daily Planet, and Superman basically has to clear out the building because he can tell that pretty much everyone in there is infected, including people they know.
Yeah.
He doesn't get into specifics as to who, and I know there's like a follow-up story or something that gets more in depth on stuff like that, but for all intents and purposes, basically the Daily Planet staff has been overtaken. So he clears out the building. He puts like this. He takes the globe and he blocks it in front of the door so that the zombies can't get in. And everyone just kind of takes a breath. and John's there with Damien. Like, hey man, you okay? He's like, I really don't want to talk. He's like, okay, I'll just sit here with you then. So he's just being a friend to him, and John, Clark and Lois are just kind of looking, and Clark's like, I gotta go to Smallville. I gotta check on my parents. Lois is like, yeah, go ahead. Go see if you can help anyone, and see if you can help them, bring them back, see if you can help anyone. And what she's gonna do at this point is go into the Daily Planet archives, use like radios and other stuff, just use the somewhat outdated technology to get the word out that there's a safe haven, and to avoid doing certain things which could cause infection. So he ends up meeting up with other heroes on the way to Smallville, like Black Lightning and his girls, and he saves like pretty much everyone that he comes across, because he can't just ignore someone who's unhealthy. He's Superman. It's what he does. Like, he fights Clayface, an infected Clayface at one point. He rescues these survivors, and eventually he makes it to his parents' farm, and he finds his mother Martha, and he's like, where's Pa? She's like, he's in the barn. And
I don't like the sound of that.
Yeah. So he goes to the barn. Martha, I guess, has locked him in the cellar, basically where they had kept Clark's spaceship, like when he came down as a baby. And Clark undoes like the locks and everything, and he sees that Pa Kent is infected. He tries to get out, but Superman just pushes him back. He closes the door, he welds it shut, and he's like, we have to go, Ma. And so he takes her back. Pa Kent's not going with them. And things just kind of get from bad to worse, like the world over. I mentioned Aquaman earlier. Down in Atlantis, Mara's like training Garth, Aqualad, Tempest, whatever you want to call him at this point. And they realize something's going on, and there's like something circling around the water, and it's blood.
Oh.
Yeah. So Aquaman is coming down. He's infected, and he's been infecting all this aquatic life, and they're spreading the virus as well because he's controlling them. And Tempest gets infected by the blood in the water, and he tries to kill Mara, but Mara, she uses like her powers to push the blood water away, and she basically bails. And see, that's in Atlantis. In Washington, D.C., Captain Atom, he's like basically a government superhero. He's sent in to basically try and clean up. By that, I mean like kill any zombies that he can find. And they're trying to figure out like how all this has started. The Atom, Ray Palmer, was testing an infected, I think it was Captain Boomerang, who was trying to see, he like shrunk down to him to his cells to try and see like how this started. Is there like an antibody, something like that? And eventually Captain Atom starts acting up. He doesn't know what's going on. Like, he can feel something's going on within him. And it's Ray Palmer, the Atom. He's infecting his cells one by one.
Oh.
So he's going to start to turn. And let's see. By this point, let me think. Let's see. He goes back. Oh, yeah. He goes back to the Daily Planet with his mother, and you hear these, like basically an earthquake, just boom, boom, boom. And they turn around and they see Giganta, who's like an old Wonder Woman villain. And she's infected, she's coming over, and so They all try to fight her off. Alfred comes in with a back wing, shoots at her. Batman knocks her down with like a big punch. Wonder Woman actually is about to kill her. She's got like her sword out. He's like, "What are you doing? She's still alive. We don't kill." And then all of a sudden her head explodes, and you see Cyborg on the other side of her head with like his arm cannon out. He's like, "She's not alive. She never."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And once you turn zombie, there's no coming back.
I mean, although if you read the Greg Rucka Wonder Womans, if it's bad enough, Wonder Woman will kill. And then the rest of the Justice League is like, how dare you? And she's like,
Yeah.
saved millions of other lives, but okay.
Yeah, it all depends on the writer, but post New 52, she's more warrior princess than more of a warrior aspect, and the warrior princess aspect that as her general identity.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Alfred's there now. Giganta knocked a plane out of the sky, but Dinah caught it with the Green Lantern ring and whatnot.
So it did come in handy. Geez, it's almost like I'm too drunk to remember which superhero told her that she needed to keep
Superman. It was
Superman. There we go. It's almost like Superman is right sometimes. Speaking of which, I wore my Superman shirt tonight, but
nice.
It glows in the dark too. But
I can kind of make it out when like you turn that light off. I can see a little bit. Yeah.
Maybe at the end of the recording, I'll go turn the like overall room light off, and we'll just see how much it glows.
Nice. Can't wait. So Alfred goes over to Damian, and the two like hug and whatnot, because Alfred basically lost his son, Damian lost his father, and he gives Damian a case. He said, "Your father said you would have earned it one day," and it's basically a bat suit that was made for Damian.
Oh.
So Damian's going to become Batman. At this point, Hawkgirl is flying out of the sky. Well, she's falling really, and Wonder Woman catches her, and she tells them that Captain Atom's been infected and he's about to explode. So her and Superman fly over. They try to get him out of like the atmosphere, but he detonates and pretty much destroys a good chunk of the eastern seaboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's even a moment like right before the issue ends where the blast wave is approaching Metropolis, and John's just like, and Lois is like calling John like everything okay or whatever, and you don't know what's gonna be their fate.
Hold on. So at the end of the episode, then it just goes dark. The issue, episode, same thing.
Pretty much, yeah. At this point in the story, there's a side story that goes off. It's like a one-issue side story, but it explains why certain characters aren't like involved with the main plot, why they aren't helping, why this or that hasn't been used as a possible solution. And so you've got characters like the issue's called A Good Day to Die, actually. And you've got characters like Mr. Miracle and Big Barda. They go back to Apocalypse to try and see if they can investigate, but the whole planet's basically an asteroid field, so there's nothing they can find there. They end up meeting Mr. Terrific, one of the world's smartest men, and they're trying to determine a possible solution, and they end up meeting with Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, and they're like, "Hey, you Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, you've got a time machine stored somewhere. Why don't we use it and go back?" And they're like, "Okay, yeah, let's do it," because they don't have any qualms about ripping space-time if it means like the fate of everyone else. And they use that as like plan C. Plan B, like what they want to do first is find other possible solutions. So they end up, let's see, who they find. They want to see if there's a magical solution first. So they go to John Constantine.
Right.
Who's on the run from zombies, or Zeds if you're a Shaun of the Dead fan.
I love Shaun of the Dead.
And like his driver Chaz is infected, and he just lets off like a big fireball to kind of kill the zombies around him. And the other heroes show up and they save him. Like, John, is there like a magical solution, anything that could be done? But he's like, if there was one, don't you think I would have done it? Like, who do you need me to set on fire? That works.
Right,
like, well,
right.
we're trying to save the world. Can you help me? And he's like, no, I'm going to. Speaking of Shaun of the Dead, his plan is to hunker down and get good and wasted somewhere.
Right. So, get in the car, get mom, go to the Winchester, wait for this all to blow over.
Yeah, that's more or less his plan.
Is that the name of the bar in Shaun of the Dead?
The Winchester, yep.
Winchester, right, because they have the gun above the,
Fine, yeah. Yeah, so with no magical solution being available, they decide to go to and use the time machine. And they've got it stashed at another former Justice League International member place, Fire and Ice. And they're infected, and there are hordes of zombies around. So Big Barda and Mr. Miracle basically decide to hold the line and fight them off so that the others could have enough time to get to the time machine. No pun intended there. Unfortunately, as soon as they get there, they're met by another guy from the 90s. He's called Wave Rider. Have you heard of him?
Like, heard of him, yeah. Remember who he is with 5 glasses of wine in me now? No.
Well, in the show Legends of Tomorrow, that's the name of like the time ship that the team uses. But in the comics, he's like a time lord. Like he keeps watch of history, makes sure certain things can and or will or won't happen. His job is basically to maintain the space-time structure, whatever. And he's like, hey, you guys can't do this. You can't go back in time. And the zombies are getting through. They've gone through Big Barda and Mr. Miracle. They basically die. They go down together as husband and wife, and yeah, they're one of the best couples in DC. And
it's not Ollie and Dinah. Don't tell Kelly I said it. She's gonna see this. She edits the videos. But as far as healthiest couples,
true,
even
yeah.
Kelly can't argue with me. It's not Ollie and Dinah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, best couple. I mean, in my opinion, next to Superman and Lois is Ralph and Sue Dibney.
Oh my gosh, identity crisis.
That killed me.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, Booster Gold gets to the time machine, but Wave Rider's just being a dick. He's like, okay, you're gonna do that, I'll do this. And he basically waves him out of existence. And so Booster Gold disintegrates in front of his best friend, Blue Beetle. And he's like, hey, the only regret I've got is that we'll never have been friends.
Mm-hmm.
Those two are like, if Ralph and Sue were the best couple, then Booster and Beetle were the best friends.
Exactly. Also, still a better love story than Twilight.
Oh, anything's a better love story than Twilight.
Still a better love story than Twilight.
Yes. And with that, Booster Gold ends up getting infected. Like the zombies get to him. Oh, something I forgot at this point is
you're allowed to forget. That's why we get drunk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, John Constantine went to get drunk. Speaking of, he went to this enchanted bar or whatever for like warlocks, magic people, or whatever, and Detective Chimp, another kind of old throwback character, is the bartender. And he's like, hey, Bobo, that's what he calls the monkey. Like, give me the bottle that made, with the stuff that made Phantom Stranger forget his name. He's like, is it that bad out there? It's worse. And he brings up this bottle. It's got like a little skull as a top. It's got runic symbols written on the side. And something else with Constantine, like if you're familiar with him, he tends to like blow off people, but then like goes in, tries to help, but ultimately things just get worse. So this is like another one of those moments like, hell, I gotta go help them. So
Yeah.
he goes in, he kills a bunch of zombies, which gives Booster enough time to get to the time machine. But then, like I said, Wave Rider does his thing, and the zombies catch up. He's like, and Wave Rider's like, okay, well, I did my job. Peace out. He's like, oh, Constantine's like, oh, no, you don't. You're getting back here. And he basically puts like a binding spell on him. Okay, now we're stuck for. He's like, what'd you do to me? Why can't I? He's like, we're stuck for eternity. Now you and I are gonna figure out a solution. We're gonna work together. We're gonna figure out how the hell to stop this thing. But then he ends up getting infected. Wave Rider and Mr. Terrific. So
But
the
he
last,
gets for being a dick.
yeah. So it's just John Constantine surrounded by a wave of zombies. But then a portal opens and Dr. Fate and Zatanna basically bring in John, and you don't know what ends up happening to them, at least not until the sequel, which is currently ongoing.
Oh man. I feel like Constantine really wants to be an anti-hero, but then it comes time to be a hero, and he's like, I guess I'll go be a regular hero.
Yeah. He's usually like more out for like himself, serving his own interests, but when push comes to shove and it's literally the fate of the world, he'll be on your side.
Mm-hmm.